So let's get to it. We begin the movie with some overwrought narration at the Wayne's funeral. And then we get a flashback to...
Don't be afraid.
My point is, we've seen this before. Incredibly, in this story, Bruce runs and falls into an underground cave he didn't know was there. And then suddenly...
I can open your eyes, take you wonder by wonder, over, sideways, and under, on a magic carpet ride, a whole new world, a new fantastic point of view.
For everybody confused out there, get used to that feeling.
We cut back to the climax of Man of Steel for what is, honestly, in my opinion, a really good scene. Bruce is just dashing to with his car and then on foot, trying to deal with all the carnage of Superman fighting Zod and the Kryptonian ship crashing down, and it's well done because we're seeing what we saw before from a different perspective, and that makes it fuller and richer.
It's fast-paced, it's exciting, the stunt work is good, and I love this imagery of Bruce Wayne running towards catastrophe while everyone else is running away.
It's good.
That's
character
a good character
introduction.
moment.
Jack, listen to me. I want you to get everyone out of the building right now.
Wow, Bruce, you're quite the micromanager there, telling him to make sure to get out. But then again, he kind of shows that he needs you to micromanage him because he didn't leave on his own. Seriously, what were you going to get done today, dude? I can't evacuate until someone tells me to. Bruce finds one of his employees named Wally and helps him, lifting the debris off his legs. But of course, he can't move his legs. Yeah, he's going to be paralyzed. Then Bruce Wayne finds a child and rescues her, only to find out she just watched her parents die. Gee, do you think he might make a connection with this child? And if you had to flashback to his parents getting killed, do you think maybe this would be a good time to do it? If you had to? And Bruce Wayne knows who's to blame for all this. Snyder. I mean, Superman! And 18 months later, they find some kryptonite in the Indian Ocean. Now, to be fair, these are scavengers going over the wreck of the other planet Humper from the other side of the planet, but they just find it. And they knew this was valuable. Meanwhile, and get used to me saying meanwhile, because there's a lot of meanwhiling in this movie, Lois Lane arrives in Nairobi, Africa, with a photographer so they can interview a local warlord, because the Daily Planet wants those interviews. The warlord's bodyguards recognize that this is a CIA operative, and that he brought a tracking device with him, and they gun him down. You probably already know this, but this CIA operative who's posing as a photographer is Jimmy Olsen. You know, before I gave up on Supergirl, their version of Jimmy Olsen, which was still way off from what the comics had, was one of the better characters on the show. They're screwing up Jimmy and making him interesting. You're just killing him because Zack Snyder thinks it's funny.
It's okay, Lois.
Zack Snyder, you clearly do not know what the word funny means. Stop trying.
Also, because you can't have a Superman production that doesn't do this somewhere along the line, which we already have with Amy Adams anyway, this guy was also in Smallville as Gabriel Grant.
Next time, take Olsen.
Oh, you mean a weird-ass relative of Lex Luthor's? Oh, we got that covered.
And a hitman, who I guess we're supposed to recognize, starts killing people left and right. The warlord is threatening to kill Lois Lane, which, as everyone knows...
Lane? Lois Lane? The one Superman always saves?
Afraid so.
And as one of the two people Superman cares about, of course, he arrives to take this guy out. And suddenly we're in Congress blaming Superman for taking out a gunman pointing a gun at a woman? No. We're going to find out later, and believe me, this is not very clear in this movie. They're blaming Superman for gunning all these people down. Really.
Okay, question 1. Oh, you heard this sound like thunder. Did you not notice that the gunfire preceded the thunderous approach of Superman? Number 2, why do you think Superman would need a gun to kill people? He just laser their heads through.
He answers to no one. Not even, I think, to God.
So, is this woman a corrupt liar, or is she just a moron? So, after coming home after a long day of nearly dying, Lois takes a bath, and she finds that a bullet has been lodged in her notebook. I'm guessing this is left over from a time when this was a subplot that actually mattered, because all this notebook bullet subplot is going to prove is Superman was framed. So we know that Superman wasn't going nuts with a gun on people.
Not that, we would automatically assume this from his character. Oh, wait.
Okay, you got this one, Zach. We did need proof that Superman didn't murder people. Although he still wouldn't use a gun. Clark comes in. I guess they're living together now. Okay. And they start talking about Superman and philosophy, and then Clark gets in the tub with her. Well, enough of that. Elsewhere, I guess it's Gotham City, because Batman's going to be involved. The police break in, and apparently this is some sort of sex trafficker. And they find the women locked up downstairs, but they refuse to be let out, claiming that a demon saved them, but he's still upstairs. They find Batman, and he runs away, which, to be fair, at least he didn't kill the cops. And they find the sex trafficker, and he's been bat-branded.
Here in Gotham, we put the brand on everything.
And so we follow Batman back to the Bat Plaza, and we find another good thing this movie does. Alfred! Jeremy Irons is great.
Even you got too old to die young. And not for lack of trying.
They debate that Bruce Wayne is becoming cruel as he's getting more and more deranged in his quest to bring justice. And this is actually a good scene. If this was typical, this would not be a problematic movie. Meanwhile, Clark Kent hears about the Bat Vigilante, as they call him.
Nobody ever calls him Batman? Hasn't he been doing this for 20 years? Don't they know his name?
Well, it's not like he ever says he's Batman very often. And we also learn that
many believe the mark of the Bat brand in prison essentially is a death sentence.
Why? Why is that a mark of death? If anything, I would say you'd be a big man in prison because the Bat took the time to make you a special enemy. Certainly not, oh boy, Batman says you're bad and he beat me up and put me here. We'd better make sure to follow his wishes. And they mentioned that he did it to a pedophile and a child molester and a sex trafficker. Unless he's only branding the worst scum. Otherwise, you'd think that they would just all take that as a sign of honor that he branded them. Okay, I'm gonna need a minute here. Meet Lex Luthor.
Ahoy, ahoy! I did not know you were here.
Casting fail. Casting fail.
Well, we're gonna get held down and strangled with exposition here, but the long and short of it is, Lex has figured out by using pieces of kryptonite they found little tiny shards that this actually affects Kryptonian bodies. And he wants the big piece they found from the planet Humper on the other side of the world.
Emerald City.
This isn't Lex Luthor. It's also not the Joker. This is Carrot Top.
Here's a hanger for a bachelor, because it ends up on the floor anyhow. We don't need him.
You don't have to use a silver bullet. But if you forge one, well then, we don't have to depend upon the kindness of monsters.
Oh, shut up.
So Wally, the man who was crippled in Man of Steel, comes to the Superman statue that they've apparently built in Metropolis and starts to vandalize it. You know, he's really good at climbing around with just his arms for a guy who's only been paralyzed for a year and a half. Meanwhile, at the Daily Planet again, Clark sees that he's been arrested for his claiming of Clark as a false god. Yeah, this is a theme that's going to really crap all over this movie. Meanwhile, the government brings Lex Luthor on board for Superman research, I guess. I don't know, they don't really say why they brought him at first. And of course, the unstable monkey wants full unlimited access to the crashed Kryptonian ship and Zod's corpse. And naturally, the guy says that no, yes. Why? I again say, why?
Why would you ever give this twiddling weirdo access to advanced alien science?
I wouldn't give this guy access to yogurt.
It's cherry.
And then suddenly it's Fight Club, so I can't talk about it. This is apparently Bruce Wayne doing his detective thing, which, to be fair, he has been doing in a lot of movies, so it's nice to see him doing this. He is trying to find the location of the White Portuguese, some sort of new criminal lead that's making its way through the underworld. Much like Lois's subplot, this really amounts to not much. Meanwhile, Clark Kent is obsessed with bringing down the Bat Vigilante, because he doesn't like when people go outside the law, as demonstrated by...
It's one of your surveillance drones. Look, I'm here to help. But it has to be on my own terms.
And Lois discovers that the bullet is unique. Yeah, this is really enthralling. Well, at least it's not awful. And back to Lex's house, give me a minute, where he starts talking about his abusive dad, Lex Luthor.
Clearly his insanity is the result of being dropped on his head by Papa Luthor.
The red capes are coming. The red capes are coming.
But shut up, Wesley.
Senator Finch, the chair of the Anti-Superman Committee apparently, refuses to let Lex have access to the chunk of kryptonite.
Galloping through the streets to warn us. 1 if by land, 2 if by air.
But shut up, Wesley.
Can I call you June?
You can call me whatever you like. Take a bucket of piss and call it Granny's peach tea.
Oh, that's a stupid line, but what makes it even worse, it's another plot point for the future.
That should be upside down. Now, we know better now, don't we? The devils don't come from hell beneath us, no. No, they come from the sky.
And more of the hammered-in God theme.
I'll give you a cookie if you shut up.
Meanwhile, Bruce Wayne goes to visit his parents' graves because his parents being part of his motivation hasn't been established yet. And then suddenly...
Knock off the meaningless fake-out, Snyder! Learn to tell a story in sequence!
Wait, so did Bruce Wayne just bed some random woman, or is that Alfred next to him? And we shift again, and now Lois is still chasing after her bullet lead.
Princess, let it go.
Remember when Lois was part of this movie? Meanwhile, in Gotham, Bruce has figured out that Lex is the bad guy. And we get an interesting hint that the Joker might have killed or done something even more horrible to Robin. It's been done better, but it's still intriguing.
Also, I know that's a Robin suit because I paused on it, stared at it intently, and was assured by others that it was in fact a Robin suit. I should not have difficulty telling Robin's outfit from Batman's. Lighten up, movie. Literally.
So Lex Luthor is throwing a party, because apparently this is Mission Impossible now, and invited both Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne. I think Lex has figured out who they are, because he read the script. In another admittedly clever bit, Clark actually can hear that Bruce Wayne has some sort of voice in his ear telling him what to do. It's Alfred, of course, guiding him through to get Lex Luthor's secret data. Still, you have to question how Alfred got a hold of Lex Luthor's blueprints and knows where all the secret stuff is.
Prometheus went with us, and he ruined Zeus's plan to destroy mankind, and for that he was given a thunderbolt. True!
No, Prometheus did not get the thunderbolt. He got far worse. An eagle eating his liver every day and letting it regenerate every night for fresh torment in the morning. You're Lex Luthor! You shouldn't screw up mythology references this badly!